Well, pertussis, also known as whooping cough, is an infectious bacterial disease that causes uncontrollable coughing. Now, the name comes from the noise you make when you take a breath after a string of coughing. Anyone can get and spread whooping cough, and when the source of pertussis has been identified, it was found that family members were more likely to transmit pertussis to their own children. The disease is more common in infants and children for whom it is most dangerous and potentially deadly. Coughing spells, in fact, can be so bad that it's really hard for the infants to breathe, to eat, or even drink. Dr. David Johnson is here with us this morning to talk more about pertussis disease prevention. Dr. Johnson, thank you for being with us. For me, I hadn't heard about whooping cough or pertussis in at least, the last 20 years or so. Is it contagious? How is it spread?
Well, pertussis or whooping cough is highly contagious, and it's spread by droplets from the nose or throat. So a simple sneeze or a cough or even talking up close can expose someone. When we're able to identify the source for babies who get pertussis, we find that about 75% of the time it's a family member, and 50% of the time or so it's the parents themselves who transmit pertussis to their babies.
And so how do we know what the symptoms are?
Well, the symptoms, this is a problem, they can be very mild in adults and kind of resemble a common cold. They may not know that they have pertussis and that they can transmit pertussis to others. So those mild symptoms are sneezing and runny nose and maybe a low fever and an occasional minor cough. Sometimes the symptoms progress, become much more severe, including this more violent kind of coughing that can actually lead to vomiting or hernias or even cracked ribs.
Oh, wow. So we know that it can resemble a common cold, but we also know it can be very deadly for infants, can it not?
Yes, particularly for infants. For young infants, those that haven't received their primary series of vaccinations.
So under about, 6 months of age?
Yeah, these vaccinations go from 2 months, these primary vaccinations go from 2 months through about 6 months of age. And the infants that haven't received those yet are particularly vulnerable to pertussis.
It's so interesting to me because we see that this disease is making a comeback now, but so many other childhood diseases have been nearly eliminated by vaccinations. Why pertussis? Why now?
Yes, well, vaccines have helped. The infant and childhood vaccines that we've had for a number of years have helped to lower the number of cases of pertussis. But, those vaccines wear off, so that even if we got vaccinated against pertussis as children, 5 to 10 years later, that immunity has gone away.
Adults wouldn't even realize that, I don't think.
That's
think
right.
they think about the fact that they need vaccinations against pertussis, especially, over the age of, 18?
Well, that's right. And so many adults don't keep up with the vaccines that they need. We've got a relatively new vaccine, only several years it's been around, a tetanus, diphtheria, acellular pertussis vaccine specifically for adolescents and adults, the so-called Tdap vaccine. Adolescents and adults can get this, prevent themselves from getting pertussis, and if they don't get pertussis, they won't spread it to infants or others who are vulnerable.
So talk to me a little more about how we can protect our babies.
Vaccination really is the key. The CDC recommends that all adolescents and adults 11 through 64 years of age get vaccinated, especially if they're going to have contact with infants.
If we want to find out more information about pertussis, where can we do that?
There's a great educational website, www.doitforyourbaby.com. You can go there. You can actually hear the sounds of pertussis or whooping cough on that website.
Now, does that sound different than what a common cough would sound like?
Oh, it does.
Okay.
It's a very distinctive cough in many of the younger children who get pertussis, a very distinctive cough and that whooping sound when they try to breathe back in.
All right, doctor, wonderful advice, especially for those of us who do everything we can to protect our babies. We appreciate you being here with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And up next, a good reason why you should think twice about regular lubricants if you're trying to conceive. Stay with us.